All right, well, today we're sitting down with Brad Arrington. Brad is a pro golfer from Augusta, Georgia. Brad, give us the story. Start with you have a really cool story about how you started playing golf and growing up in Augusta and everything about your mom.
Yep.
Start from the beginning.
Oh, man. So, first off, go way back. I grew up playing baseball. That was it. My cousins played baseball. My uncle, my dad, big in baseball. They played softball and for the church and stuff like that. But my mom worked at Augusta National when I was a kid. And, as a kid, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, my mom works at a golf course. Had no idea it was the Masters. Like, had no idea it was Augusta National Golf Club and the prestigiousness of it. I played baseball. Well, when I changed schools and played at a private school called Thomas Jefferson Academy, I got introduced to basketball and football. So then I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I was intrigued. Like, it was fun. Like, it was the same thing with baseball. It was just something that came natural. Could compete at it. It was fun. I had my friends playing. It was fun. And then comes golf. Like, I'd dabble in it, like go out there and sometimes I'd play with some friends, but it was never like that great. And it was intriguing to me. It was like, cause I'd see some friends. Matter of fact, it was my cousin on my stepdad's side of the family. His name was Matt Otis. Really, he was good. I'm talking about drive, chip, and putts, which now the national drive, chip, and putt, they compete at Augusta National the Sunday before Masters Week. And so, like, he was winning these things around Augusta. And I was just intrigued. I was like, dang, like, how is he this good? Like, I feel like that I'm equally as, like, athletic as him. And so I was just intrigued on wanting to get better. And
so you were like 16, 17 at this point?
Oh, no, this was, I was probably 11 or 12.
Okay.
It kind of, so it started, so I guess, yeah, that was probably about 11 or 12. So to go back about a year or 2 years, there was another guy, his name was Justin Lamb, and he was on the same class as me. We played all like travel ball, rec ball, basketball, football. We did everything. We actually didn't get along very well. That's the funny thing about this. And we actually, over the years, started getting closer and being more friendly. Well, he's riding with me in the car with my mom driving. It's the three of us. And he's sitting behind we're both in the back seat. He's sitting behind my mom and I'm behind the passenger seat and no one's in the passenger seat. My mom's asking me like, hey, Brad, do you want to come and play the golf course I work at? And I'm like, I don't know, Mom. Like, not really, because it's summer and it's May, school's over with, baseball's picking up. And I'm like, no, not really. Like, I want to work on like these drills and stuff like that. Like, go hit in the batting cage and work on fielding. And he asked my mom, he goes, Miss Pam, what golf course do you work at? My mom says, oh, I work at Augusta National Golf Club. And like before she could finish what she was saying, he backhands me across the chest and says, I will make fun of you for the rest of your life. You got to imagine I'm 10 years old. So he goes, I will make fun of you for the rest of your life if you don't go and play. So, because what 10-year-old wants to get picked on? So I go because I don't want to get picked on. And I remember I went and I started kind of understanding like the prestigiousness and like, oh, wow, this is a big deal. Like, not a lot of people can do this. And so then that's when my interest sparks. So then go back to where I was talking about, I would like started competing in drive, chip, and putts. My cousin, Matt Otis, he's winning these things. He's placing like second and third. And he like I'm intrigued with how well he's doing. So then I want to try to get better. Well, my mom actually puts me into the golf camp here at UGA, and that's where I get to know Chris Hack, and great guy, by the way. I mean, to this day, like I could go up there to the facility and he would let me use the facility, practice at the golf course. Like, phenomenal guy. And so I remember, I mean, I had no idea. Like, I knew where to grab the club, but like I just knew how to hit the ball. I mean, I've just relatively looked at it like baseball and said, "Oh, just hit the ball." And so, I wasn't that good, and I'm sure.
So did you have like the baseball swing? I know a lot.
It wasn't so much a baseball swing. Like, I mean, I could make contact with it, but with baseball, you just try to make contact. I mean, like, and then you just run. I mean, and you just hope that it hits the gap where a opposing player's not at on the field. With golf, like, you have intention. Like, you either want it to go. You want it to cut, which is left to right, or you want it to draw, which is right to left, or for a right-handed golfer, opposite for a left-handed golfer. So it was that part of it that was intriguing. It's like, yeah, I can make contact, but could I tell you where I was going? No. And so I started, I went to the golf camp, started learning some things, was more intrigued. And then, unfortunately, my mom passes away from breast cancer. And so I had to go and live with my dad. Now,
how old were you when that happened?
I was 14.
Okay.
So I remember going to the golf camp. I believe my first year was 12. It was either 12 and 13, and then I went when I was 14, or my first year was 13, and then I went again at 14. It was one of the, I can't remember if I was 12 and 13 or 13 and 14, but I remember I went my second year to the golf camp. It was either right before my mom passed, or it was when I was 15, and then it was after my mom passed. And I remember I got most improved from the previous year because one of the students so what they did is they used the golf team players on the team as instructors for a group. So like each player got like 4 to 6 juniors, which was me and 4 to 5 other guys. And I remember the guy that I got my second year was like, "Wow, you've really improved." And I recall because I remember after she passed, my aunt and my grandmother put me in the program at First Tee of Augusta. And that's where I got my first lesson. Well, first swing lesson. Actually, my very first lesson with golf was at Augusta National when I was told to pick out a glove from the pro shop when I was 10 years old. And being a baseball player and I'm right-handed, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to get a right-handed glove. So I get a right-handed glove, and Michael Breed was the assistant pro, which he's now a really good instructor, and I think he's up at Ferry Point up in New York now. Great guy, by the way. He laughs, and he looks at my mom and says, "Are you sure he's right-handed, a golfer?" And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, he just got a right-handed glove." That's when he informed me that right-handed golfers wear left-handed gloves and vice versa if you're left-handed, which I had no idea. So, like, that's how new I was to golf and understanding things. So I obviously I figured that out, and then started getting swing lessons at First Tee. I believe Jeff Keck, he was the instructor or that I was working with. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he's still in Augusta. But he was, I mean, at the time, great. I mean, helped me out a lot. He was actually teammates with Vaughn Taylor at Augusta University, which is now, or Augusta State University. Now it's Augusta University. But yeah, so started working there. That's when I started realizing like the caliber of players. I mean, shoot, you had Cody Bagwell, Andrew Spencer, golly, remember Lee Knox and Jeff Knox being there. Clayton Boardman, he was there. There was a bunch of other, Rob Bennett. There was a lot of other guys from Augusta Richmond Academy that were there, and I know I'm missing their names, so please forgive me. But they were good. I'm talking about, like, I'm out there trying to break 85 and like shooting 82, and they're out there shooting 72, 70, and like, I mean, sometimes even shooting like 66, 68. I mean, like, they were good. And so I just was like, I got to get better. And I just remember there was this is when PlayStation 2 came out, and the Tiger Woods golf game was, and so like you could take a break and go inside and play the video game. Well, like, I never took a break. Like, I was constantly just, I want to get better. I want to get better. I want to get better. Worked on my short game. I mean, hitting the ball, and it was more about hitting the ball, like just trying to figure out what worked best for me to make the ball curve in a manner that I wanted and be consistent at it. And so I just kept getting better. This is when I was trying to make the golf team at Evans High. Didn't make it until I was a junior in high school.
So it was pretty steep competition.
Oh, yeah. So, like, let's see. I remember, who was it? Zach Tilton. He went on to play at Kennesaw. I believe Michael Green. No, not Michael Green. Michael Green, when he was a UGA. He played here at UGA. But he was from Augusta. But there's another Green. And I can't, Will Green or William Green. He was on the team, and he was good. I don't remember I think he went somewhere and played, but I'm not sure. But then you had Adam McKinney, H.B. Chavis, E.J. Evans, Adam and Zach Lawless, Keith Paulus, Reese Glisson, and then Zach's younger brother, Jacob Tilton. I mean, like, good players. I mean, Will Johnson, he was there. And they were Ben Hyman. I mean, good players. I mean, I'm talking about, like, I think they took 8 on the team, and I cracked the 8, and so all these other players are better than me. And so then I was like, all right, I got to get better. And so we played the season out my junior year. I played, but I don't think my score counted one time my junior year. And we were at the banquet for the high school, like getting rewarded for the spring sports. And he gives us these SJGT schedule, which is the Southeastern Junior Golf Tour, which the tournament director is now the tournament director for the RSM down in St. Simons, who his son plays here at UGA. So there's a lot of correlation with UGA, Augusta, a lot of golf. Like, I mean, it just seems like a lot of everything kind of is going hand in hand. So, I start playing these SJGT events, and it's like, okay, like, this is what I needed. Like, I needed more tournaments to get into. Did pretty good, not great, but then my senior year comes. And now it's like I'm playing, I lettered football 3 years, basketball for 1, swim for 1, golf for 1. And I'm thinking, okay, like, I'm going to drop football. I'm not going to play. And I'm going to focus all on golf. And so I focus all on golf. I'm working with a guy named Greg Melvin now, and he helped me out a lot with fundamentals and understanding, like, what I needed to do better in my swing to be more consistent. Helped me out a lot. So my goal was to get a golf scholarship at college. Sure, D1 is my main priority. So obviously, if I don't get D1, I want to go D2. So I'm going through playing, and I'm coming to my last junior event. So in the junior rankings, you have until you turn 19 or until your first day of college. So most of the time it's your first day of college because kids are still 18. And so I'm playing in my last event at Furman University. And I'm thinking, okay, this is it. Like, this is going to be my last day. Like, it was fun ride while it lasted. No big deal. Like, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm starting school at Georgia Southern, I think 2 weeks later. And I'm just leaving it all on the table. So I think I end up placing 9th or 10th. And I'm coming in. I shoot a good 70 or 72 the last day. And I'm seeing where I stand on the scoreboard. And I'm seeing like I'm moving up. Like some players ahead of me didn't play too well. And I'm sitting there looking at this unfold. And an older fella comes walking up. I'm thinking it's someone's granddad. And starts chatting to me, asking me questions, asking me if I'm going to play anywhere. And he goes, well, I'm the golf coach at Southern Wesleyan University, and I've got a spot for one more player, and I want to offer you a scholarship. And so now I'm like, do what?
Wait, is that D1?
No, they were NAIA at the time.
Okay.
So this was before I even knew anything about NAIA.
Yeah.
So they're now D2 because they've moved into the NCAA division. But at the time they were NAIA, they were still, it was a good, like, soccer and basketball team was phenomenal. Really good squad. Didn't matter if it was NAIA or NCAA. They were always competing for a championship. The baseball team was good. It was like all the other teams were really good, but then like here's golf.
Mm.
We were good too, but there was a coaching change, which was the guy's name was Brad Bradshaw, and so I go and I'm thinking about it, and so I accept the scholarship, and so I'm changing schools. I'm now enrolling into Southern Wesleyan, going through the process of signing up for classes, and then Georgia Southern calls me and asks me why I'm dropping out of Southern. I've already enlisted in classes. I went through orientation, and I said, look, I got a golf scholarship. I said, unless the coach wants to offer me a scholarship, I'm going to take this and move forward. Which at the time I wanted to try to walk on at Georgia Southern. But it was kind of like wishful thinking, because I was a decent player, but at the time, I'll be honest with you, I was not D1 ability. So I took this opportunity, got better. Actually qualified. So from the time I wanted to play collegiate golf, this was the 2005 summer. A year later, I'm getting a scholarship. And then 2 years later, I'm playing in the U.S. Public Links Championship in 2008 at Murphy Creek, Colorado. And the winner gets into the Masters as an amateur in 2009. Now, the USGA no longer has the U.S. Public Links Championship due to reasons I have no idea. And they pulled that, and they added, I believe, a women's 4-ball event, USGA women's 4-ball. So I play in this event. I actually win the qualifier at Bethpage in New York on the blue course, not the black. That's where they have a lot of PGA. They actually just had the PGA Championship there. That's where Brooks won his second PGA Championship in a row. Brooks Koepka. That's where they've had 2 U.S. Opens. Matter of fact, Lucas Glover won in 2009. I think Tiger won in 2001 or 2 there. So I go up there, experience that, win that, and this is like highlight of my career. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, where's this going to take me? So I go and I tell the golf coach at Georgia Southern, like, I'm just playing the U.S. Pub Links. He doesn't offer me a scholarship, but he says, hey, look, I'll come transfer in. I'm not going to give you a scholarship, but maybe you can walk on. So I'm like, okay. Well,
Said maybe you can walk on?
Yeah, it was, I don't know. Like,
you felt good about it, though?
Well, let's think. It's what, 2000? It's 2021. This was fall of 2008. So, this was 13 years ago. So, like, whether he said maybe or whether he said, hey, transfer in and then we'll move forward. I just know that I had played 2 years collegiately, and my intentions were to play for him. That because originally I was going to try to walk on my freshman year. Well, now that I've got some, my resume's better, I've become a better player. It looks intriguing. I mean, to this day, I still keep in touch with 2 of the golfers, Logan Blondell and Jordan Johnston. Matter of fact, Jordan Johnston was my member guest at Champions Retreat. He was my guest, and so I still keep in touch with those 2 guys, and so I'm thinking, okay, this is like making headway. Like, this is cool. Like, I might be transferring and playing D1. So I'm practicing, doing what I can. Now at the same time, like, I was in school to be an engineer, like wanted to be an engineer. I enjoyed architecture work. I was looking at doing architecture, realized there wasn't that much money to make into it right out of college until you owned your own firm. So I went into civil engineer. And so I was taking classes at Southern Wesleyan, all like engineering base, to potentially either transfer to Clemson or, wherever. So then that's when I go to Georgia Southern. Well, they don't have an engineering program, but they use, at the time, it was called the G-TREP, and they were using Georgia Tech's engineering program at Georgia Southern. So I could have entered that program, graduated with an engineering degree from Georgia Tech, even though I never stepped foot on Georgia Tech. And so I was like, this is cool. But at the same time, I was mainly down there because of golf. So I was like, I had to tell them, I was like, hey, look, like, I'm here to be a potential athlete. And they're like, oh, wait, we don't allow athletes into the program, because they didn't want to tarnish and have an athlete or someone fail the program and then, like I said, tarnish the program for other students. So they didn't let me in the program. So the next major next to graduate on time was chemistry. So I'm like, all right, I'll just change my my major to chemistry. So I changed my major, chemistry major, which, by the way, I enjoyed it. The labs were fun. The classes were not that hard. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But at the same time, like, I enjoyed golf more. And so,
dude, I never knew how smart you were. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're just like casual, like, change my major to chemistry, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, what do you know? I'm taking these chemistry classes, OChem, inorganic chem, biochem 1 and 2, all those, physics 1 and 2, differential equations, calculus 1, 2, and 3. I mean, like, did it all. And as the semester's going, I'm talking to the golf coach. I'm like, hey, he's like, well, if you can crack the top 5, because on a college team, I think they usually have 8 to 10, and they travel with 5, and they count 4 scores. And so, when they travel with 5, all 5 play, and then whoever the top 4 are that have the best score that day. So, like, one guy could play really good on the second day, but not so good on the first and third day. So, like, his score could count just one time for 3 days.
So it's not like a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just like,
like, he has, like, in his mind, he has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
But the 5 guy could just play really good and beat 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and if that's the case, well, then the 5 guy's score is going to count that day. So basically what I mean by is, like, you travel 5 and you count 4. And so that's the way they do it every day. And then whoever the top school is after 3 rounds, that's who wins the tournament or places whatever they end up placing. And so he tells me, he's like, okay, I'm going to let you try out if you can crack the top 5 and qualify for the first tournament, you're on the team. Well, it was like I was playing with some of the guys on the team, and I was beating some of the guys on the team, but, like, Logan was playing better than me. He was a freshman. I mean, really good player. And then there was a couple other guys. Jordan Johnston, he was more consistent than me. And then there was a couple other players that were more consistent than me. But I mean, I want to say I was like right around like 3, 4, or 5. So like me personally, I thought that I was playing well enough. But then I was talking to the coach, and he goes, "Hey, I'm going to let you try to walk on with 10 other guys." And so all 10 of us, we meet. He coordinates where we need to play and what time and where we need to be and all that.
So you were just training on your own to get ready for this?
Yeah, I mean, I still had the same, like Greg Melvin, who I was working with in Augusta before I went off to college at Southern Wesleyan. Like, I'm still working with him. I'm just, instead of being at college at Southern Wesleyan, I'm down at Georgia Southern. Which it's an hour and 45-minute drive both ways. So it's like nothing's changed. I'm just south of Augusta instead of north of Augusta. And so I'm training, I'm practicing, I'm playing. Well, I go into the 10 of us going to try to walk on. Well, after 2 days of everyone competing, the coach tells us that he's not going to take any walk-ons. So I'm like, I go and wait till everyone leaves, and I'm like, "Hey, coach, like, I just want to ask, like, how come? I mean, I just played in the U.S. Pub Links Championship. The winner goes and plays in the Augusta National, the Masters in 2009. Like, I'm not bad, and I transferred down here with the intention of me being on the team, but showing you that I'm progressing and getting better." To then, where did that go? And he goes, "Look, your pub links, competing in the pub links definitely weighed heavily, but he thought, as a I wouldn't say typical coach, but as a coach, he thought who he had on the team was good enough," which is fair. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It actually kind of lit a fire under me to show him, like, hey, you missed out. And so, luckily enough, with the Pub Links Championship on my resume, I was able to sign up for big amateur events like the Florida Azalea Invitational, tournaments around like Rice Planters, Dogwood, all these big amateur events, and I was able to get in. Palmetto Amateur, that's in Aiken, South Carolina, and so I just continued in school, continued playing golf in these amateur events when I could, because typically they're towards the end of the semester in the fall, so they're like October, November. And then they don't, like, one's in December. I think the Dixie Ham's in December, which is down in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. But then they start picking back up in, like, May. So, like, they're tailored towards the NCAA schedule. So, like, there was always a big break. Well, now I'm at Georgia Southern, and I'm like, well, dang, like, I don't really want to be here, because the whole point of me being here was to play golf. So I leave, and I go to Augusta State University. And I'm there for about a year. And I'm still
Were you a junior when you left Southern?
Yeah, so
okay.
I'm trying to think. I was either going into my junior year. I think that's what it was. I was going into my junior year when I left Southern. So I'm at Augusta State, and I'm going into my junior year. And now I'm faced with, like, grad school, because I'm in the chemistry major, and you either went, like, you were pre-pharm, pre-med, or pre-vet, like going into as a veterinarian. And so my advisor was like, hey, like, where are you going? And so because my mom passed, I'm like, okay, well, let's use this as I'll go into oncology, hematology. And actually, I did my senior project. I job shadowed Dr. Jalella, who was my mom's oncology doctor at, I think it was not university. I think it was MCG. I can't remember. There's so many, like, there's MCG, University Hospital, and then there's the Medical College of Georgia. Well, that's MCG, sorry. There's another one there. You got the Georgia Cancer Center. But I'm forgetting. Like I said, there's a lot. So I can't remember exactly which one he was affiliated with when my mom was getting her treatments. But I just know, I was like, okay, like that's close to my heart. Like that would give me a reason and like a drive to want to go into this and, help others. And so I said, all right, I'll go pre-med. And so I'm doing that. But I'm also like, I don't want to quit golf. Like I'm still like, and it's not because because I was not accepted at Georgia Southern to play on the golf team. It was more because I could see I was still getting better. Like I still had a lot of growth. Like,
so what was the schedule, your training schedule in college when you were not on the golf team?
Well, so funny thing is when I went down there as a freshman, I spoke to the golf coach and I said, hey, like, what do you do? Like, what do you expect from your players? He goes, well, I want all my players' classes, I want them done before noon. So, I mean, to get all 3 or 4 of your classes done by noon, 1 o'clock at the latest, you got to start at like 7, 8 o'clock. And so I was like, okay, like that's the way I'm going to do my schedule. I'm going to start first thing in the morning, first available class, and I'm going to try to be done by noon so then I can have the whole afternoon to practice and do what I need to train.
And do your homework at night?
Yeah, so then I would go and practice, come home. I would go to the chow hall or the cafeteria, eat dinner, take a shower, and then I'd do my work. Like I'd either go to the library or I'd go to my room or, if I want to change the scenery, sometimes I go to the gym. Like I just go anywhere just to, change up the scenery and do my studies. And then do my studies, get to bed by 11, 12 o'clock, wake up at 7, 6:37, do it all over again. And like that was my mentality. It was just wake up, school, golf, eat, study, go to bed. Same thing. A lot of sacrifice. Didn't really make a lot of friends. Even relationships, like it just didn't work out. And so I just knew like that was my, like, get your school done, give yourself time to practice, then come back to study. So it was like, it was nice because like I could tell I was getting better. So I enjoyed to train. But it was also a break from studying, so I could have a 4 or 5 hour break, and then I'd go back to studying. Well, then I remember my advisor sat me down because now I'm going in. I think I'm either going into my senior year or now that I'm not on a golf team, like it wasn't mandatory for me to take a full load. So like as long as I took 9 credits, I was fine. Where in college, I think you have to have 12 if you're an athlete to stay eligible. So I'm kind of lagging behind. I mean, so I think, like I said, like I might have been going into my second semester sophomore year, or like I said, starting my junior or senior year, second semester junior year, or starting my senior year. And so I remember the advisor sat me down and he goes, hey, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, can I still practice 5-6 hours a day and be a med student? And he looks at me and he laughs and he goes, you're either too smart for your own good, or either you're not taking your major seriously. And I looked and I was like, oh. I was like, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm at a crossroads. Like, I either have to take this seriously and golf is no more, or...
Were you saying to him, like, I want to be a pro, or was, like, being a pro golfer in your mind?
It was. So, like, it was...
Or was it just so distant?
No, it wasn't so much it was distance. Like, it was a goal. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I knew it wasn't going to happen in the snap of my... from right there, it wasn't like I could say, oh, yeah, I can go pro and I'm going to win majors. I knew it was a possibility, but I knew that in order for me to achieve that goal, I wasn't going to be able to continue with my studies. So then I was at a crossroad where, do I continue practicing and then do I go full in 100% with waking up at 7 in the morning maybe even earlier, getting at the golf course right when the sun rises, practicing all day, going home at 6, 7 o'clock when when it's dusk, and then doing it all over again. And I'm not gonna lie, like I was like, that would be legit. Like I remember that it like fired me up. Like
just being able to play all day.
Well, yeah, I mean, just being able to play because I saw how good and how much I was improving just with the 5 hours and studying, that I was like, dang, if I can put in twice as much, then I'm going to get twice as good faster. And I'm like, yes, that's what I want. And I'm like, and then so I was like, well, let me think about studying. I was like, okay, do I want to help people? Like, I was like, yeah, like I know I could, because I personally dealt with my mom going through cancer, going through treatments, and I was on that side of the fence, meaning like the families that I could, understand and sympathize with because I was in their shoes. I feel like I could be a really good doctor, not only emotionally, but I know that I would have a passion to do or to be better than the other peers as an oncologist. And so I knew I was either going to succeed at one or either one. It wasn't like, oh, I can succeed at golf better than I can as a doctor. It was like, no, I know I can succeed at both, but where am I driven? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, that's great. Like, that's cool. It's stable. Like, there's an end point. But I knew I would be wanting more. Like, I knew I would be looking at myself down the road. Like, oh, that's great. Like, I make $300,000, $400,000 a year. But what if? Because I would be watching the Masters 8 years from now and wondering, could that have been me? Would that have been me? And I know that I would have been so bitter, wondering what if, being a successful doctor, that I was like, it's not worth it. And so I just told myself, I was like, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm chasing this dream. Not even chasing, I'm obtaining this dream. I'm going to do the best I can. And that's when I told my advisor, I was like, hey, I'm not signing up for school. Like, I'm not coming back next semester.
So you're a senior at this point, or?
I was, like I said, I was going either into my second semester junior year, because like I said, I had dialed back. I mean, I remember.
Wait, so you didn't graduate college?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, what?
No.
Holy crap.
No, I didn't graduate.
All right, sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good. I mean, like my first semester as a college student, I took 16 credit hours. And I think I had a 3.2, 3.3. And it was, I'm talking about strenuous. And I told myself, I will never do that again. So after that, I started just taking the bare minimum. So, I mean, to graduate on time, I think you have to take like 15 or 16 credits per semester. And I mean, as an athlete, that is asinine. I mean, it is absolutely insane.
No one does. The most.
Yeah, I mean, like to be successful, like that's the problem is like, could someone do it? But I promise you, they're going to be average Joe in their studies and in their sport.
Yeah,
like they're not gonna. They'll succeed, but they're not gonna excel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not the type to just go by and just half-ass it or just mediocre. I want to be the best. And so in order to be the best, I had to make sure that I could plug in 100% and not plug in 50% or anything less than 100. And so that's when I realized, like, wow, I was like, this studying is really like, that was when it was a wake-up call of like, wow, these studies are really starting to like take away my time with golf. Like, I didn't realize it was going to be this much juggling, this much responsibility. Because I remember when I was at orientation at Georgia Southern, they said, you've got 3 things in college. You have athletics, you have academics, and you have a social life. And if you're a you can only do 2 of those 3. and be successful. And if you're a student athlete, 2 of those 3, because you're a student, because that's what I said is one of the 3, and you're an athlete, that was another one. 2 of the 3 is already picked for you. So as a student athlete, if you try to have a social life, you're either going to fail in your studies or you're going to fail in your sport. And that's when I was like, wow, like big wake up call. So that's why I didn't have a social life. That's why I lost friends. That's why it was just me. And so with that mindset, I realized that if I wanted to go more into my studies or more into my sport, that I had to double down even more. Like I had to fully take on whether or not I wanted to be a student or whether I want to be an athlete. And that's when I went to athlete.
Did you have like a big ambition to, party and stuff and go out and meet people, or did you not really, like in high school, was that?
No, because, okay, so like I had my friends. So when I was at Thomas Jefferson, there were 200 kids. I mean, I'm guesstimating, but I'm saying there's probably over 200 kids from kindergarten to 12th grade. When I had to go and live with my dad, I went to a high school that had 2,000, maybe it was 1,700 to 2,000 kids from 9th grade to 12th grade. And I didn't know a soul. And I remember walking into that school and after Christmas break and everyone running up to each other, hugging them, saying, "Oh my God, I missed you. How was your Christmas break?" And I'm walking through there like, no one knows me. Everyone that knows me is back at Thomas Jefferson. I remember walking down the halls looking at a map on a sheet of paper. Because, like, the school I was at was one hallway.
Yeah.
Like, you walked in the double doors at the front of the school, and you either went left to the high school, middle school. Because, like, middle school was, like, half of the building. So, like, when you walked in the double doors, half your classes were on the right, half your classes were on the left in middle school. High school was all on the left. Elementary school was all on the right. And then you had your lockers. And you had your lockers coordinated by color. And, like, the seniors had the color closest further up in the high school. Then you had your juniors, sophomores, freshmen. And then your middle school was down here. And you didn't have locks. I mean, everyone knew everybody. No one was going to steal your stuff. Well, I get to this school, and every hallway's got lockers. Sometimes left and right. And I'm walking, I'm looking at this map, and I'm like, I color coded. I was like, okay. Like, I highlighted first class blue, second class pink, third class green, fourth class yellow. And I literally, like, I knew I was coming in at one of the front doors of the main school, at the front entrance, and I had a blue highlighter. I highlighted it to the door. I'm like, this is where I need to go to get here. And then from there, I would highlight it pink to go to my second class. So I knew, and this is literally how I'm walking through at 14 years old, almost 15. And I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there just like, this sucks. And I'm walking through, and I was like, I don't have anyone to talk to. So, I mean, you got to think, like, I've got the mindset of, like, I don't have anyone to talk to. So, like, my social life was, like, didn't care. I remember sitting in class, and people were like, who are you? And I'm just like, I'm the new kid. That's what I would tell them, because I did not care. Because I cared about being back at TJ. And it was a wake-up call. I mean, it just was like me versus the world. That's all it was. And I literally had all my books in my book bag. So, I mean, I had 5 classes. I've got 5 books, 5 folders. I mean, I probably look like a daggum turtle with a daggum shell on his back. And I remember, like, I just was like, damn, I look like that nerd kid. Like, I'm that nerd walking around with all his books in his book bag, daggum just slunched over because the book bag probably weighs 40 pounds. And I just remember I was like, this sucks. I was like, this sucks. I was like, I'm looking at all these lockers I'm walking by, and I'm like, which one's mine? Like, I started, like, as I would walk, I would like the ones I could like see if each of them were unlocked, and I'd find one that was unlocked, and I would put a book in a folder in one, and I'd be okay, this is my second period full. So like I literally started finding empty lockers, and I'm sure students had one locker. Well, I ended up finding like 4, and each like they all corresponded with my class. And then a couple of them I would find places in the classroom I'd hide my book and folder. So then I was like, all right, I just need a pencil, pen, and maybe a notebook just in case if I just need an extra one. So I just started walking around with a pen and paper and or a pen and pencil and a notebook. And then the kids started looking at me like, what the heck? Like,
you didn't care.
Like, they're like, who are, like, you were just carrying a book bag. And I'm like, I'm finding out ways to make it easier for me because I didn't know. And I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know who to go to help for. And I just started just kind of figuring out things on my own that made it easier for me as I went. And so, like, socially, it's not that I didn't have social skills. It's just that I didn't care to be social. So going back to, like, my social life in college, I just didn't care because I had already experienced all that in college. I mean, in high school. So, like, what kids experience in college and going to a new school and not knowing anyone, or maybe knowing like 3 or 4 because they knew them from high school and they all went to this, and a few of them went to the same college. I was experiencing that in high school, but not knowing anybody. So, like, going to a college, I could have gone to a college in Japan and been perfectly fine because I had already figured out how to maneuver and work my way around something that I had no idea about. And so, and I actually am thankful for that because when I started playing professionally and I quit going to school, I could travel to any town I wanted to and figure out my way around. Hotel. I mean, I remember being 18 years old and getting my own hotel. Matter of fact, the last junior event I played in, I got my own hotel at 18 and up there in Furman University outside of Greenville. And I walked in there, gave them my ID, gave them a debit card, and they accepted it.
Did your parents, were they just giving you money or?
No. So it was Social Security. I mean, so Social Security, Social Security was giving my dad money to take care of me, obviously, because my mom passed.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I had that. But I mean, no, I mean, it wasn't like I just had $100 bills just laying around everywhere. I mean, it was that's how I mean, I think it was like $850 a month. So, I mean, I'm 17, 18 years old and getting $850 a month. And it's like, hey, this is cool. And I mean, I worked at Augusta National during Masters Week on spring break. I'd make $1,000, $1,200 a week, or in that week, I'd save it. I mean, at this time, like, gas was $20 for a full tank. So, I mean, it was nothing for me to do chores around the house, cut grass, make $20, $40, and then like all this money that I was getting, I was just pocketing. And so I had that for my golf tournaments. And so when I was traveling, I'd get in this hotel. I just remember, I was like, damn, I'm 18 years old and I'm getting this hotel and I'm laying up in this hotel watching TV. And I'm like, most people would be like, damn, this sucks. I'm alone. And me, it's just like, done this before. Been doing this for 4 years. I was like, this is easy. I was like, I'm actually excited for tomorrow because I'm wanting to play golf. Like, and I find out, like, as I go through and I'm traveling, the part that's the toughest is traveling to these new cities, but not able to experience. Like, a lot of people when they travel to these cities, like, it's like, oh, we're on vacation. We're going to go walk around Chicago. Like, we're going to go walk downtown. We're going to go sightsee. Well, me, it's like, I know I'm there to travel. I'm getting to the hotel, and then I'm getting to the golf course, and I'm practicing and playing, practice round, getting acclimated to the course, and then I'm going back to the hotel, taking a shower, and I'm relaxing. So, like, that part to me was easy. A lot of other people would struggle with that because they would either get homesick or they didn't like the travel stress or whatever it was. So I mean, it was a blessing. Like at the time, I mean, it was definitely a blessing. And so to me, like I said, it was easy. And so I'm just going through. I'm playing professional golf. I mean, let's see. I won the not U.S., but I won the Augusta City Am in 2010. I'm really starting to play good. Like I think I started out with a 72, which was like I grinded out a 72. Went and shot.
So this is post, or you dropped out?
Yeah, this is when I dropped out, and
Okay.
so now I'm playing amateur golf, and I'm wanting to turn pro.
So at this point, it's like you're
I'm fully
be a
on.
pro.
Like I'm full on gonna play professionally, but just like I'm like when am I gonna play professionally?
Mm.
Like I want to make sure like I don't want to be average and then turn pro and it's a waste of my time. Like I want to make sure like I'm the best in the area. So like obviously like to play in the Augusta City Am, you're playing against the best amateurs in the area. And so I'm like, okay, let's give it a try. Well, I go on and win, and I shoot 72, 66, 69, and I win by 2. Matter of fact, I won by, so Jacob Tilton, he was one of my high school teammates. He was a freshman, I was a senior, and I ended up beating him. And I just remember because the golf coach at the time was more interested in him as a freshman than me as a senior. When I went to him and said, hey, I want some help trying to get a golf scholarship. And he kind of just blew me off and says, I've got more important people to worry about, talking about Jacob. Which, I mean, nothing against Jacob. Jacob was a great player. I mean, still a good player. I think he's in Atlanta. He's a head pro or assistant pro somewhere. But, I mean, like, good player still. I mean, nothing against him. But I just thought it was funny that I had a high school golf coach kind of just brush me off like I wasn't any good, wasn't worth his time. And that, like I said, like that a lot of what I'm seeing is like a lot of times people were telling me I couldn't do something and it lit a fire under me, or they kind of just brushed me off to the side thinking I wasn't any good and it lit a fire under me. And I'm like, I'll show you. And so now I beat him in the City Am, and I'm thinking, all right, here we go. Like, I'm going to go professional.
Was the high school golf coach, did he know that? Was he there?
No, I'm sure he might. I don't know.
Yeah.
His name was Coach Bybee. He was the quarterback coach for the high school team in football. But, I mean, I'm sure maybe he saw it in the paper. He might never saw it in the paper. Like, he might listen to this and realize it for the first time. I don't know. Like, I don't know when he saw it. He, like I said, he might have never saw it. But, so then I'm playing professionally, or I decided to go professional. Let's see. I played in Q school in 2010 as an amateur. Didn't make it through to the, obviously to get status on the Korn Ferry, which is now the Korn Ferry or the PGA Tour. So now I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Well, that summer before, I ended up getting in touch with a guy named John White. He's a sales rep for Wilson Staff. And I'm hitting balls and I'm doing my practice stuff. And he's out there doing a demo day at Forest Hills. And he gets there in the morning. He sees me there practicing. He gets done at 3 in the afternoon. Like, I mean, I've been out there for 7 hours now. And he's probably been out there for 5. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just practicing, getting ready for events. He's like, well, I'm intrigued, stay in touch. So I stay in touch, tell him how I do. Well, he wants me to come down to the PGA show in Orlando. This is February of 2011. And I get to meet the CEO and president of Wilson Staff Sporting Goods. Chris Russin, who was the president, or he was the lead head sales rep for the Wilson Staff. And Tim Clark, who's the CEO. And so I get down there and I meet him, sit down with him, talk to him, and then we go our separate ways. Well, I get a phone call about 2 or 3 days later, and I have no idea. It's three-way, and it's John White. He calls me. I'm like, hey, Whitey, how's it? That was his nickname, was Whitey. And I go, hey, Whitey, how's it going? He's like, good. And we'll start talking. And then next thing you know, I realize it's three-way, and it's Tim Clark. CEO was on the other line. And then, because John Whitey, he goes, "So, Tim, what you think?" And I'm like, "What? Tim, what do you think?" Like, I'm not Tim, I'm Brad. And then that's when I found out that he's on the other line. And he goes, "Yeah, I like what I hear. Let's give this kid a shot. Anything you need, Brad, wedges, clubs, like that, you just let us know. We'll get it all put together for you and we'll mail it to you." So I'm like, oh shit.
This is your first like sponsorship?
Yeah, well, like this is my first club deal. Like literally fell in my lap. I mean, I remember telling Whitey, I was like, "Look," I said, "I know it's not free." I said, "But I'm trying to get as much help as I can." I was like, whether it's free or lucrative, like I just want something. I want help because the equipment I've got now, it's costing me like $1,500, $1,700 a year. And I'm sitting there thinking like, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford that for every year until, I would like some sort of sponsorship. Well, that's when this worked out. So then I get on with Wilson's staff and I'm getting free clubs, free wedges, like anything and everything I need. And I'm like, this is legit. And I'm playing these mini tour events, doing pretty good, making some checks here and there. And then I kind of hit a wall. And I'm like, what is going on? And I realized that instead of me playing golf for fun and for the reasons why I did it in the beginning, I started chasing the dollar.
So at this point, you were like supporting yourself through golf?
Yeah, okay. I was working at Carrabba's too.
Okay.
As a server.
At night, play golf all day?
So, yeah, I'd play golf all day. I'd have to be there by 5. So, like, I could be at the golf course by 7. I could leave by 3. So, that was 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be there at Carrabba's by 5. And I'm doing this. And which, it was fine. Like, was it ideal? No. But it's what I needed to do. And I think that's where I was like, I started realizing the cost of things and how expensive things were. And also I had family members holding me accountable on like, they would see the money that was made on the PGA Tour and then they would equate that to what I was earning. And if it wasn't anything relatively close, like it was a failure in their eyes. And to me, it was like, I'm just getting started. Like, no. And so then I started realizing, well, to get their approval, I need to earn dollar signs. And so then that's when I started tracing dollar signs for their approval. And that's the struggle I started finding myself in, which I've now like completely gotten away from. And when I say gotten away from is that if they didn't bring value to my life or support in a way that was beneficial for me, then I didn't want anything to do with them. And so I've had to cut out family members because they were detrimental to me mentally and emotionally, which then caused problems physically for me on the golf course. Because then when I wouldn't succeed or wouldn't make enough dollar signs, I looked at it as that I was feeding into their reasons for me not to do it, not to play professionally.
So would they, you'd play a tournament or something, and then would they ask how much money you made?
Well, it would be things like people would see how I would do and then say things to my dad, and then my dad would say things to me, and my dad would get mad at me. Like
he'd be like, "Oh, you need to do better,"
or he'd be like, "I'm hearing all this stuff from people, and I'm tired of it. Like, you need to play better." Like it's
like just, the last thing to tell an athlete is like you need to play better.
Well, it's like not so much. I get it. Like, here's the thing. I understood where they were coming from. I understood they wanted me to do better. They wanted me to succeed, but their way of expressing it was, awful. It's like me telling you, like, here's the expectation I have for you, Luke. If you don't do them, like, I'm going to tell you, you suck. You need to quit. You need to do something else.
Yeah, be like my parents said, like, if your podcast doesn't have like 2,000 subscribers, like after your first month of doing it, then like,
it's a waste of your time.
Throwing your cameras away. And,
yeah, it's a waste of your time. Like, what you're doing, you need to quit. Like, this is a hobby.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there thinking, like, who are you to tell me that I'm not good enough? And who are you to put expectations on my abilities when are you the one out here at 7 a.m. or in the gym or not having a social life? Are you the one making sacrifices in the manner that I'm making sacrifices to succeed? No, you're not. So, like, your opinion's crap. Like, your opinion does not mean anything to me because you're not here doing what I'm doing. And so that's when I started, like, so then I struggled with cutting them out. So I had what you had, like, look at it like with a plant. You got to prune. You got to cut the dead branches off because if you don't, you're going to kill the plant. Like, it's going to die. Like, the whole thing's going to die. So you got to prune things so you can make room for growth. And that's the way I looked at it. I had to cut people out that were not that were not benefiting me. Like I said, whether it was emotionally or physically or mentally. And I had to cut ties. And it sucked. It sucked. I mean, it sucked going to family members and just not coming around, not showing up. Like, being invited, but then not going. Whether it was they invited me only because I was family or whether they invited me because they really wanted me there. Because I knew all the other past experiences and conversations and interactions were negative towards me and my goals. And I literally felt like I just felt drained. Like, I would get around the people that were negative towards me, and I felt drained emotionally and physically. Like, just didn't have the drive, like, was losing my fire. Like, it was detrimental to me and my goals. And so, like I said, I cut them out, and I started adding the right people into my corner, making a smaller circle where there was only so many people that were allowed in. And if you didn't have the same mindset or values and beliefs and my goals as I did, then you're not allowed. Like, sorry, you're not allowed. Like, don't want you in here. And since I've been doing that, I mean, I've made leaps and bounds, mentally, physically, and just like, I mean, I'm on the cusp of potential. I mean, like, just this past, let's see. What's today? Friday? 2 Mondays ago. I mean, I was in the Monday qualifier for Wells Fargo. Top 4 get into the PGA Tour event. That's a PGA Tour event. I mean, my life could change. I mean, if I'm Mondayed in, which, I mean, any given week, I can Monday into a PGA Tour event, and my life's changed. I could Monday in, make the cut, finish top 10, and I'm off to the races. I mean, like, it's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's just when. And that's how that's my belief. I know in my heart wholeheartedly that it's going to happen. And if you don't have the same conviction that I do, then that's fine.
Dude, this is crazy you saying this to me because I remember, dude, not one thing has changed about you because I remember freshman year, in high school, so this is like 8 years ago. Yeah. That same fire. Like, I mean, so many people don't have the ability to stick with something, Yeah,
I mean, you got to.
That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you still think you're improving, if you still think you're better than you were the year before or a week before, I mean, like, if you feel like you're making progress, then who's to tell you you're not good enough, or who's to tell you you're not going to make it? Just because someone else puts expectations on you and you don't meet those expectations, that doesn't make you a failure. It might
Yeah.
make you a failure in their eyes, but they're not the ones putting in the work like you are. Now, obviously, if I wasn't feel like I was improving or getting better, well, then yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, I'd be wasting my time. But not one time each year have I thought that I've gotten worse. I've learned things. I've done better with management. I've done better with having more quality practice instead of a quantity of practice. And I've just, all in all, I mean, I've gotten better in all aspects of my game to where now it's just, when's it going to happen? And that's where I'm at.
Any Monday now?
Yeah, any Monday. I mean, shoot, my next one I got May 31st. It's in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's the Monday for the Korn Ferry event, which, I mean, the Korn Ferry, look at Will Zalatoris. Let's take him for example. I mean, you can look on his.
Was he the young guy that did well in the Masters?
Well, yeah, but I mean, he played at Wake Forest.
Yeah. He's like 21.
Yeah.
He's like me.
So, I mean, played at Wake Forest. I think goes through Q school. Doesn't get started. Like, so, I mean, you're talking about someone, let's go 2 years back. I mean, this is a prime example. This is why you can't let people, this is why surrounding you with the right people is more important than doing it on your own and relying on yourself. Because if he didn't have the right people around him, he wouldn't have been able to accomplish what he did. Now, is his ability the same? Yeah, absolutely. But when you have people telling you that you're good enough, you're going to make it, there's a little bit more confidence in your step when you have people behind you believing in you versus people telling you that you're wasting your time. Because now you feel like you're dragging.
Like you have to do it.
Well, not even have. You just feel like you're dragging dead weight. When you have people inspire, like, what's a good example I could use? If you had someone every morning you wake up tell you that you're going to succeed and you're going to do great, you think you're going to have a little bit more pep in your step?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now wake up every morning and have someone tell you you suck, you're not going to do anything, you're not going to amount to anything, you're wasting your time. You think you're going to do better? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to surround yourself with the right people, and he surrounded himself with the right people because, like I said, he went through Q school, didn't earn status on the Korn Ferry Tour, which is the tour under the PGA Tour. He Mondays in, plays well enough, earns status.
This is in Raleigh?
No, not Raleigh. I don't know if it was in Raleigh or not. I just know that this was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So let's go back to 2019, pre-COVID. So he ends up. So this was the fall of 2018 when you go to Q school for Korn Ferry Tour. Doesn't earn status. So now he's doing mini tour events like myself. He's doing Mondays like myself, and it's 2019. He Mondays in to a Korn Ferry event, makes it in, makes the cut, earns status, wins 2 times. No, okay, so earned status. I think he earned status, and then had status for 2020. Ends up winning. No, he won twice in 2019. So yeah, so he Mondayed in 2019, gets status, ends up winning 2 times in 2019, or wins once, and then gains status, wins again. He's now leading the money list. And because of COVID, guys couldn't move up from the Korn Ferry Tour to the PGA Tour. And guys on the PGA Tour couldn't lose status and drop down to the Korn Ferry Tour. So now he has finished 2019. No. It's 2020. Give me a minute. So when they came back, so now he's gained status for 2020. Maybe he didn't win in 2019. He just gained status through Monday qualifying in 2019. And then wins twice in 2020 once they come back from COVID. And now he's leading the money list, and the season's over with, and he should have gotten his card. So, he should have his card for 2021, But he doesn't, because no one could move up, just like no one on the PGA Tour could fall down and lose status. And so he's ranked 24, 25 in the world, and 2 years ago didn't have status. So, like, with the right people around and the right mindset and having other people believe in you, I mean, he went from no status to probably being ranked like 2,000 something to 2 years later he's 25 in the world. And that's what I'm getting, like, that's what I don't think a lot of people understand, is that it can happen that fast. And and if you've got a process that works and you believe in that process, then it's just a matter of time before you have your claim to fame, your success, and your, moment in the light, or your springboard effect to the next level. And you just got to be patient. I mean, you got to be patient. You got to believe it's going to happen. And, like I said, look at Will Zalatoris. Sugar's balling out.
Yeah. So are you on the Korn Ferry Tour?
No, so I'm doing stuff on the McKenzie Tour, or it's still the McKenzie Tour, but because of COVID, Canada shut down their borders, and the PGA Tour made the Forme Tour, or the Form Tour. It's FORME. I still haven't figured out whether or not I want to say form or if I want to break them up and say for me.
So explain to me how the how it works getting your PGA status and then like the levels below.
So there's two ways. You have what's now the McKenzie Tour, the Form Tour, the China Tour, and the Latin America Tour. The top 5 in those tours move up to the Korn Ferry. Now, I know this year the McKenzie Tour doesn't have that access, just the Form Tour does. But if the PGA Tour decides to keep the Form Tour here and continue with the McKenzie Tour in Canada, then you'll have 4 tours that move up. The top 5 from those 4 tours will move up to the Korn Ferry.
So you could have gone straight from McKenzie Tour to your PGA card?
The Korn Ferry Tour. Now,
so you'd have to get to the Korn Ferry Tour.
Yeah.
Then?
So this is so I'm just explaining one way to get to the PGA Tour.
Okay.
So you have those 4 tours: Latin America, McKenzie, Form Tour, and the China Tour. Those top 5 on those tours move up to the Korn Ferry, and then the top 25 on the Korn Ferry move up to the PGA Tour. Now, there's a second chance that's called the Korn Ferry Tour Finals, where guys from the PGA Tour from 126 to 200 drop down and compete from the top 75 guys from the Korn Ferry Tour. And then those guys will play for another set of 25 cards. And so there's 50 cards to obtain to gain your PGA Tour status, but it's solely Korn Ferry Tour guys and the 126 to 200 money list or FedEx Cup list guys on the PGA Tour. And then they battle it out for another set of 25 cards. And then come start, the fall, because we do a wraparound season. So come September, October, you can play in PGA Tour events because you've gained status through the Korn Ferry. Now, the other second way is Monday qualify. You can play in a Monday qualifier, top 4, make the cut in a PGA Tour event, earn enough money like Will Zalatoris has, and he's going to be given status for next year solely because of how much money he's made, that he's earned status for the PGA Tour. Now, if he goes and wins on the PGA Tour, then all those points that he has earned from top 10 in the U.S. Open, second in Augusta, I think he got like T6 at the Farmers Insurance, all those points he earned for the FedEx Cup, he will gain when he wins on the PGA Tour. Now, if he doesn't win this year, then he won't be able to compete. Even though he's ranked number 25 in the world, he will not be able to compete in the FedEx Cup, even though he's earned enough points to compete. But because he doesn't have status, he's not eligible. So he would have to wait because then the PGA Tour would extend him full status for next year. So then 2022, all the earnings or points that he earns will be accumulated and added up, and then he'll either make the FedEx Cup because the top 25 or 125 on the PGA Tour make it to the first round of the FedEx Cups, and then it goes top 125 to the top 75 to then the top 30, because there's 3 FedEx Cup tournaments, and then the top 30 compete for the Tour Championship, the FedEx Cup. And so, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot going on, but I mean, at the end of the day, you just play good golf. I mean, I think like the PGA Tour stroke average, I've got it here on my phone. Let's see. So the PGA Tour stroke average is 70.8. And right now I'm averaging 70.5. So I'm averaging 0.3 or 0.3 of a stroke better than the tour average. Now, yeah, I'm not on the PGA Tour, but my stats, I would stay out there. So, like, I'm good enough to stay out there.
So it's really hard to get there.
It's just I got to play better to get there.
Okay. So
but
you kind of got to, like, really go off to get there. Okay.
Like, I mean, I just got to, like, I either got to go off in a Monday qualifier or I got to go off on a good 2 or 3 month span where I Monday into a Korn Ferry and then play good enough and then, earn points to be top 25 at the end of the year to earn my PGA Tour card. Because, like, let's take this another scenario. I could Monday in for a Korn Ferry halfway through 2021. So let's just take Raleigh, for example. Okay? I could Monday into Raleigh, play well enough, finish either, depending on the field. If it's a 144 field the next week, it's top 10, advance the next week. If it's a 156 field, then the top 25 from the previous week get to play the following week. So if I top 5 or top 10 or top 25 and the field size is the right number corresponding with where I finish, then I could play next week and then I could win. And if I get a top 10 and a win and then another top 10, like, I'm going to be flirting right around with potentially being top 25. And then all of a sudden I go from not having status to Monday in to earning my PGA Tour card within a span of 5 months. You're going to tell me that I suck? You're going to tell me that I can't make it?
Yeah.
I'm so close that, it's there. It's just got to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And that's all. The more time, the more opportunities I give myself, the more chances I'm going to have at doing it. Like, obviously, I'm not going just to one and saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to go to this one and this is it. No, I'm going to probably like 50. I've done 5 of them so far, and I've got another 10 that I'm still going to do. So, which one's it going to be? I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, I can't wait for you to win the Masters and people see this, and then it's like he was like talking about it right there. Like, I can see the fire in your eyes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I can't wait. I tell myself all the time, like, I see myself putting on a green jacket and winning a Masters. I see myself being a multiple major champion. I see myself being world number 1. If I don't see myself doing it, then why should I be out there?
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm saying it just to say it. I know wholeheartedly that I'm good enough. I've got stats that I do to show that I'm good enough and that I'm in the top echelon. I just got to get out there and do it. And it's not that I don't do it under pressure. It's just that I got to do it in the right tournaments where my ability, is, like I say, the cream, or like I always tell people, cream rises to the top. I just got to play in the right tournaments so my abilities can show, and then I'm rewarded for them.
Yeah.
So,
what is your daily routine right now in like your practice schedule and everything?
So, I like to do quiet time in the morning where I read.
You get up what time?
I'll get up around 6:30 or 7, sometimes 7:30. I usually like to try to get about 7-8 hours of sleep.
You're not going to bed till 12 or 1?
No, I'm going to bed. Like, I'm in bed laying down come 9:30, 10 o'clock, but I probably won't, like, fall asleep till, like, 11. And it's not that I'm not tired. It's just that sometimes I just like to relax. Like, I'll put on a movie. I'll, watch a podcast, or I'll watch something on Twitch. Like, I like watching Expose and Classy Beef. Play slots on Twitch, so I'll get on Twitch, and it's funny because they're all these they're doing these like $100, $200 spins, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, like you just went through 20 grand in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what I could do with 20 grand right now? And but then they'll hit it. Like, that's the thing, is like, dude, you got to be ballsy. Like, you got to be willing to lose it all to gain it, because all of a sudden they'll hit a spin and they'll get 180K. Sure, the spin before they have lost $40,000. But then all of a sudden the next spin they just won 180, and now they're 108 or 140,000 in the good.
Yeah.
and like, but they don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But they know it. They're confident it's going to happen, and so they keep playing. And that's the way it is. Like, and to me, it's funny watching it, because it's like they believe that they're going to hit that 100+ K slot prize as if it's going to happen, and sometimes it never does. But then they still come back the next day, and they do it again. And it's just. I mean, it's nerve-wracking to me, and it's not even my money. But at the same time, it's like I'm doing the same thing. I said, I'm just doing it in golf. They're doing it in slots. And it's fun to watch. And, I mean, they're funny, especially Exposed, dude. Cracks me up. Like, things, him and Red, dude. Him and Red will go at it. They'll talk about their mic, like... Expose will sit there and tell Red his mic doesn't work, and he's like, what? No, dude, I know it's working. I can hear myself. And so, like, people in the chat will start like, hey, Red, I can't hear your mic. And then, like, Red's getting ticked. He's like, dude, this is just getting spent. Like, like, stop talking about this, dude. It's like, this is old. It's played out. Yeah. Leave it alone.
But he's like, check.
No. I mean, at this point, he don't even do it. But the funny thing is, like, Expose was like, dude, it's going to be hilarious when your mic really isn't working, and we're telling you your mic's not working, and he's going to be like, no, screw you, dude, it's working. Like, I know it's working. I can hear it. So it's just the banter. I mean, it's just funny seeing them going back and forth.
Yeah.
But then when he wins, too, dude, he goes off. Like, the things he does, it's like I said, it's funny. But, I mean, you got to have fun, too. I mean, you got to find, like, I mean, I've got a dog, and I mean, I love him to death. His name's Simon. He's a German Shepherd. And, I mean, it doesn't matter if I shoot 60 that day or if I shoot 72 or 73. Like, he's happy to see me regardless. Like, what I do on the golf course, he has no idea. All he knows is that I'm home, and he's like, oh, my owner's home. I'm super excited. I'm happy to see you. And that's when I realized, like, getting a dog, dude, is just, it's been life-changing for me for many reasons. One, for companionship, and two, is that he don't care. He just knows that I ain't been home for 6+ hours, and now I'm home, and he's happy to see me. And so, I mean, that's helped me out a ton, because then it's shown me that, like, golf doesn't define me. Like, sure, I'm going to be successful in it, and I'm going to be able to help others out with it. Which, matter of fact, like, I started a foundation under my mom's name last year called the Pamela Jean Foundation. All proceeds go to the Georgia Cancer Center. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do that before. I mean, now I'm in golf, and I've made so many connections that I can do things like that. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have been able to do that as an oncologist, but I mean, I would have had other ways. Like, I would have given back because I was a doctor, not because it's a foundation. Mm. And I mean, I'm sure that's probably equal in its own right, but I mean, to me, I feel like that I can do a lot more for my community with my mom, with a foundation named after my mom, than I could being a doctor. Like I said, I just feel like I can give back and help out others more than I could as a golfer than I could as a doctor.
Yeah. So you wake up at 7. So
yeah.
You get in the Word.
Yeah. So I get in the Word, read my, dude, love Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is so good. I mean, I don't get tired of it.
Yeah.
Like I will get the grilled egg white sandwich, no cheese, cup of coffee. Sometimes I even get 2 egg white grills.
Would you go every day?
Almost every day. I mean, but I don't get, like, if I do, like, here's the thing, it's not that even I get tired of it, it's just that I get tired of going to the line.
Yeah.
So I just fix a protein shake. Like, I'll fix a protein shake, and see, a lot of times I don't eat lunch. And so if I just if I drink a protein shake on the way to the golf course, then I'll get lunch that day. But if I get Chick-fil-A that morning, then I won't eat lunch. Typically, I'll drink a water, or sometimes I'll go and get a protein shake. Like, I'll have my protein, I'll fix my shake at the golf course, and then I'll go home and I'll eat dinner. And sometimes it's Chick-fil-A. I'll go and get a grilled chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A for dinner. Don't care, like, it's that good.
Yeah,
it's that good. And so it's I mean, it's, that's it. And then I'll practice all dinner today. I'll do my workout after I get done practicing, and then I go and get my dinner, and then.
So you never cook? You always pick something up?
No, I do. Sometimes I will. I mean, right now I've been picking stuff up, but then eventually
cooking sucks.
It does, man.
It does.
It does. Like,
I hate it. I haven't cooked one thing this semester.
But I'm a good, like, in my own right, I think I'm a good cook. Like,
yeah.
I know, like, I wouldn't say I think. I mean, I'm a good cook. Like, I can see. I mean, like, I know how to fix things, and, like, I'm good in the kitchen. And it's not that I don't enjoy it. It's just that when I've been out there, when I've been up since 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I've been outside practicing, and I've gotten my workout in, the last thing I want to do is go in the kitchen and work or cook for an hour, hour and a half to sit down for 5 minutes and eat the food that I just fixed.
Yeah.
It's like my 2 hours or hour and a half of my time is not worth the 5 minutes for me to sit down. So a lot of times, like, I'll take a day off one week, and that will be my cooking day. And I'll meal prep all my stuff. And then I'll use that for the week. And so then when I come home, all my food's already cooked, and then I just heat it up, and then that's it. Like, it's that to me is easier than to go but see, I've got to take the time, which I do. But like I said, dude, Chick-fil-A is addicting.
Oh yeah, dude, it's
and the thing is that I'm usually up early enough to where the line's not long, and then I'm there late enough to where the line's not long. So it's like it's like detrimental in a way, because it's like the line's typically not that long when I get there.
Yeah.
And so it's more of a reason for me not to cook. So I'm like, oh, this ain't bad.
Well, you can order on the mobile app, and they just bring it out to your car.
Yeah, see, but I've never, dude, I've got my phone for, like, communication only. And it's not that I don't have other apps on there, but it's just like, I just don't rely on my phone as the main focus to, like, get the things I want. Like, I still like to go and get, like, people use these apps to, like, order their groceries, and they go and just sit down, or they arrive, and then they tell the app, like, hey, I'm here now, come bring me my groceries.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Like, go walk in there and get your own darn groceries, like, quit being lazy. And so,
well, then again, if you think about it in the terms of, like, efficiency, because I mean, time is certainly the most valuable thing we have. So if it takes 2 hours or an hour to get groceries, and it's all clustered in there, and then you can just order it, like, because you can click this, like, I don't do it, but I'm saying, like, you can have the same groceries to buy, so you don't have to, like, go through and look. You can just say, okay, bring me my stuff.
If it takes you an hour to go through a grocery store and get what you need, you either can't read or you can't make decisions. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I can go in.
You whip in there. And
I don't, like, the grocery store is not a social scene for me. Like, I go in there. I don't even, like, try to find a parking spot close. Like, because by the time someone tries to find a parking spot close to the front, you could have already parked far enough in the back, walked, and been in the grocery store before you've even parked your car. And so, like, I literally would just pull in, walk in there. I don't even get a buggy. Like, I'll get a hand cart, because I know what I want. And I go in there, I get what I want, and then I promise you I'm not even in there for 20 minutes. And so, like, by the time I've gone through an app to pick out the groceries I want and select it and put it on a whatever list that I want to purchase, and then I purchase them, I've already driven to the grocery store, and I'm in the grocery store picking up those items that you're selecting on your phone.
Yeah. Dude, well, I went to Chick-fil-A with my brother this morning, and I was like, am I going through the drive-thru? He's like, nah, I'll do it on the app. And then like he sent it on the app and he messed it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then, so I had to get to the drive-thru anyway.
And you're sitting there thinking like, I could have probably already gone through the drive-thru and gotten this
Line's
food.
just getting longer
And like your mobile app sucks.
Yeah.
Like maybe if you did it before I even left the house, yeah, it's great. But like if you're doing it as I'm driving there, or you have not completed the order by the time I'm in the line, like I'm sitting in the line.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've been to like the Chick-fil-A in St. Simon's kind of sucks, but the one like dude up here, like those people like run to your car.
There's
like, it's like you do not wait.
Dude, there's multiple ones in Augusta where I'm telling you, if they ran the world, we would not have the struggles we would right now. Something about Chick-fil-A and their efficiency to make things work. Like, and here's the thing too, like you'll have this person standing there and he's giving you receipts and you're like, why is he just there giving you receipts? But then you start thinking about how his importance is to the whole system. And you're like, you're like, oh, well, that makes sense because the people that are ordering your food and getting your order, instead of them waiting for something to get printed out, and then what ends up happening, the line in the back gets backed up, you're just able to move forward, and then every car's got to pass this one point. So why not just have your receipt be it printed out there, and then you just have a guy organizing like, oh, yeah, white car. Here you go. Oh, red truck, blue SUV. I mean,
think like why is every restaurant not like every fast food restaurant? It's like Chick-fil-A is like, here's the formula, like do this, and then it will, because I won't go, like I'll go to Chick-fil-A because it's more healthy, but like if it's like if I was with my buddies and we're like we can't decide where to go, like I'm not going to McDonald's because I'm not gonna wait in the line and then for them to tell me the ice cream machine is broken. Like I'm going to Chick-fil-A.
The McFlurry. Oh, that's hilarious. No, it's it comes down to dollar signs. Like I guarantee you, their food does not cost as much as
McDonald's?
Chick-fil-A. Yeah,
it's so cheap.
Like, and it's not even McDonald's. It's other restaurants. I guarantee you, other fast food restaurants, their overhead costs aren't as much as Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And it might be the same.
But they pay them about the same, though, is the employees. But like I would work at McDonald's because you don't have to do anything.
Here's the thing. Like, is there a dollar menu at the Chick-fil-A menu?
No.
Okay. There's a dollar menu at Burger King. There's a dollar menu at Wendy's. There's a dollar menu at McDonald's. How are they making money off dollar items? I mean,
because the food is like,
it doesn't cost as much.
Yeah.
So they're still making profit. So it all boils down to profit. So like, it does not matter whether or not
the service is good.
Right.
They don't have to dump money into like management. They can just say whatever.
Yeah. Well, they're making money regardless. If I mean, like they sell a burger and they're probably making twice as much as what you paid.
Mm.
And I mean, that's the point. Is like their profit margins are still really high and really good. So it's like someone gets comfortable with having those kind of profits and they're okay with it not running as sufficiently
okay, I see,
as another restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, Chick-fil-A is saying, well, we have to run more efficiently because our product is more expensive, but it tastes better. It's better for you. It's healthier. So yeah, ours is going to be more expensive. So how do we make people want to come and eat our food? Well, okay, it's healthier. It tastes better. Oh, well, there's a long line. Well, how can we make it easier? How can we make it faster? And so they've just figured out ways to make it better. And so that way you don't feel like you're wasting your time waiting, or you feel like your wait is worth it because the food's that good.
Yeah, that is true. And
so it's just all about profit. I mean, and that's just it, man. It's even with sports. I mean, you got to feel like if you feel like that you're getting something, like if your practice is giving you what you want on the field, well, then you're either going to be satisfied or you're not going to be satisfied. And if you're not satisfied, then that's where the greats come from. That's where Tom Brady comes from. I mean, like, that's where these athletes that make other professional athletes look like kids. I mean, look at what Tiger Woods was doing in the 2000s, early 2000s. I mean, he was on a class and a different level than everybody else. But I guarantee you his practice and his workouts were way ahead of everybody else. Well, look what Vijay Singh did when he started working out and practicing, and I'm sure that he had to make change. Like, sure, he was a great golfer before Tiger, but if he wanted to compete and beat Tiger, he had to be better, and he had to change things to be better. And so, sure, was he making millions and doing really well? Absolutely. But he wanted to be better, so he had to find ways and change to be better. And so that's where you, like I said, that's where pro athletes is kind of the same thing. Like, if you want to be better, you got to change things. You got to figure out something that's more efficient, or you got to figure out ways to do better, to yield better outcome than what you were previously doing. So then you got to change things up to be more successful.
That's right.
So everyone, I mean, man, you look at business, you look at athletes, I mean, you look at anything. I mean, you've got to first go in it with a passion. You've got to want to do it. You've got to want to be able to wake up 6:30, 7 in the morning, or even earlier, and chase it and not be tired. And you got to be able to put your head in the pillow at night and know that you've given it your best and wake up the next morning wanting to do it all over again. But then at the same time, like, you've got to be able to change and say, okay, this isn't working. I need to do better here. So I got to get better here. And then you got to say, okay, well, this is now not doing so good. So I need to change this. So then, like, just because you're really good in one aspect doesn't mean you're always going to be good in it. You know, you might have to change some things to be better, or you might have to change some things to be more consistent so you can be really good at it more consistently. And so you're constantly tweaking things until, like, you know, you figure out what works for you and then what keeps you ahead of everybody else. And then you have a system that works. But at the same time, like, you got to be willing to change. So, like, just because let's say that I have a practice routine that works for me and I become world number one. Well, yeah, that's great, but I can't be naive and think that what I have is the best and this is the way to do it. And if you don't do it this way, then you're not going to be world number one. No, it worked for me, but that doesn't mean someone else doesn't do something that works for them. And then all of a sudden they start challenging me for world number one. And now I've got to be able to change things in my practice routine to do better. And so that's why, like, statistics and numbers are so important, because you have reference and you have ways to grade yourself, and you have ways to show, like, oh, you could do better here. So then you focus on that, and then you maintain your other things. But then sometimes the things you've maintained might slip, and now you've got to change your practice to get better there. And so it's a constant journey. Like, you might be there to be, like, you might be world number one, but it's not like once you're world number one, you've made it. Okay, I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. No, like, you're world number one, but you still got to chase it as if you're ranked 1600 or you're ranked 100. Like, you've got to have that fire. And so, like, the best are the ones that fall in love with the process, that fall in love with constantly challenging themselves to become better. And so, like, the saying is, being comfortable with uncomfortable. The more that you can be comfortable with being uncomfortable, then change is not hard, and you will make changes to become better because you enjoy being better. You enjoy the challenges. You enjoy the struggle. You enjoy sacrifice. I mean, all those things you enjoy. And if you enjoy that, then bring it on.
Yeah.
Go get it.
Do you ever watch tennis?
I mean, I'll
or
watch
keep up with it,
not
like the
really.
big ones?
I mean, I'll watch Wimbledon, but I mean, it's like, I mean, about the only 3 players I know are like Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say so Federer and Nadal or Federer is like 40, and it's just that's like in tennis, like that's in the past years it was like people like Nadal, all those guys start winning majors when they're like 20, 21, 22, but then it's all these new guys they're not cracking these older guys because age just keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah.
So it's insane to see like at what point they don't care about anything else but except being great at tennis. They don't care about money.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't care about
it's a
status.
process. Like what I like to tell people is that you see where you're not very good. You want to become better. You see what kind of effort and sacrifice you have to make to be better. You go and you work at it and you obtain it, and you wake up every day working out, making little progress. Next thing you know, now you're obtaining the goals that you previously set out, and it's addicting. Achieving the goal, like setting a challenge to obtain or to achieve and then obtaining it, is addicting. And when you obtain it, you want another one. You get that, you want another one. And it's when you have that fire and that desire to keep setting a goal in front of you and then obtaining it, you don't want to stop. It's like a drug, and it's addicting, and it's fun, and I like it's dude, it's give me more.
So what's your like goals right now? What goals have you recently met?
My goal, let's see. My goals are to gain status onto the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour. The goals I have set for myself have been consistency, being more consistent in my game, where it's my ball my ball flight dispersion, consistency on my short game, controlling my spin, and those are to me are little things, because even though you're like, well, how does that equate to golf and achieving your goals? Well, if I am being more consistent on my ball flight and the way the ball spins on certain shots, and I can do that on command, then I know that I can go into a tournament and I can do all those things. And now I'm not worried about, where am I going to hit that golf shot where it goes 15 yards left when I didn't expect it to. I am achieving my goals in the sense of consistency, where I no longer am wondering, I hope the ball doesn't go left, or I hope, I don't, basically wishful thinking. I went through a slump where there were times where I would hit the ball 15, 20 yards left, and you asked me what happened, I'd be like, no idea. I literally felt like what I was doing 3-4 holes before when I was hitting it straight, I felt the same way I did there. What made the ball go left? Obviously, I understand what the club had to do to make the ball go left, but in my swing, I don't know. I don't know what I did to make the ball do that. Or, what was different that I did to make the ball do that, because I felt like the swing I made there and the swing I made 4 holes before were the same swing, but I get a different outcome. And so I had to be able to say, okay, I need to be more consistent, and I had to hold myself more accountable and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? And so, thank goodness were the people in my corner helping me out with my swing and point me in the right direction. I've been able to, John Tillery has helped me out tremendously. Ted Scott has helped me tremendously on how to think on the golf course. Ted Scott's Bubba Watson's caddy, who's also a UGA player, or a past UGA collegiate player. John Tillery has ties with Kirby Smart. You know, John Tillery works with Kevin Kisner, who's a UGA collegiate player. So he works with Ricky Fowler as well. Ricky Fowler's down in Jupiter, Florida. He played for Oklahoma State. But, yeah, I mean, it's just a process. I mean, like, look at Ricky. Ricky's won 4 times on the PGA Tour. Ricky doesn't suck. Ricky's going through a struggle right now because Ricky's trying to find ways to be more consistent. And it's a process. Look at Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth went through a slump. And he's finding ways to be more consistent. And now his efforts are starting to show. And he goes out there and shoots 9 under yesterday in the tournament in Dallas. I mean, the Byron Nelson, AT&T Byron Nelson. I mean, it's just it's a process. I mean, you got to know what you're doing is going to make you better. Even though it might make you look like an idiot in the beginning, you got to know that it's something that's going to pay dividends in the end. And you're going to sell out on that process, and you're going to see it through the end. And then eventually it will pay off, and you'll be more consistent, and then you'll be able to compete at a high level, and then you'll be able to win on the PGA Tour. And that's where I'm at. Like, I'm starting to see my consistency show personally, and now I've got to be able to apply it in tournaments. And then eventually it's going to start unfolding in tournaments, and next thing you know, it's just going to be like, oh, wow, where did this kid come from? And there you go. I mean, you just got to be able to stay true to yourself, and you just gotta believe in yourself. You just gotta believe in your process, and don't waver. Be patient.
Yeah. Well said, man.
A lot.
You think that's a good place to wrap it
I
up?
was gonna say, I don't know how long we've been talking, but yeah.
We've been talking a long time. These go by quick, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Man, I appreciate you coming in. You got to come back.
Yeah, for sure.
No one's like fired me up like this before, so
Got it.
yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, talking about my foundation, too, with the Pamela Jean Foundation, you can get on my Instagram page. It's Arrington_Brad. DM me, send me information. It's a 4-man scramble. It's at Champions Retreat. I haven't picked out the dates for this year because they're reconstructing their greens. They're going from a bent grass to a Bermuda grass. And so I don't know if I'm going to have it this year, because I don't want to add too much stress to what they have on their schedule with the reconstruction and the resod that they're doing. So I'm going to kind of wait and see if something does come available later in the year. But at the same time, like, obviously I don't want to have it in November or December because it's so cold.
Yeah.
So, like, if I can't have it before, mid-October, end of October, then I'm probably just going to wait to have it next year. But that doesn't mean you can't DM me and send me your information. And like I said, it's a 4-man scramble. Usually it's about $1,500. Lunch is provided, alcohol's free, or the beer's free, and then the dinner's provided. And usually it's a concert. I had a concert afterwards last year. Erin Alvey from Nashville played. She did a really good job.
Sick.
Gotta thank her a lot. But then, her boyfriend Phil, he plays on the Predators hockey team. So maybe he can get a team together.
Yeah, that'd be
I'm
something.
going to hold him accountable to it.
Yeah.
Come on, Phil. But no. So, no, it's good, man. Like, I just, I enjoy giving back. I meet people. And it's just, it's always about trying to help others.
That's right.
Whenever you can.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll see y'all soon. Brad, please come back anytime, man.
Yeah, man. I
Enjoyed it.
Yes.
Peace.
Take it easy.
It's cool, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
For sure. That was fun.
Yeah, man.
That was a lot, too. I'm over here, daggum. I picked off all this stuff on your
Hey, you're good.
table.